Do you remember the movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button? What if a story like that actually happened in real life?
Imagine a man who was given a second chance and reversed time itself. No illness, no aging, and no way back. One of our listeners submitted a story in which an ancient place,
An unusual practice caused a complete transformation of the body. In this science fiction podcast, we explore the story of a man who became younger while remaining an adult on the inside.
but along with youth, he received terrible problems he was never prepared for. And that leads to one final question. What if rejuvenation isn't a blessing, but a trap?
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something truly fascinating. It's a story that actually came from one of our listeners.
And it's a powerful one, a piece of, well, you could call it narrative science fantasy, but it feels so much more real than that.
It really does. It explores the dark side of getting exactly what you wish for.
It's a tragic, really self-contained story about a man who finds a way to manipulate the physical rules of his own life. He goes on this quest for youth.
But it doesn't end in some grand triumph. It ends in this profound, immediate paradox.
He wanted more time to use all the knowledge he'd gathered.
Right. But what he got was the body of a kid, which made him completely socially irrelevant.
Let's set the scene. He's 54 years old.
And his fear isn't really death, in the abstract. It's much more specific.
It's the fear of losing his wisdom. This guy spent his entire life traveling, collecting experiences. He was a walking library.
Exactly. And that's the critical point here. He wasn't after immortality. He was after capacity.
His body was failing, and he felt the clock ticking down on his life's work. He needed time to process, and more importantly, to share what he'd learned.
So he starts this incredible worldwide search for some kind of external energy source.
Then he finds it, a force that can literally turn back the physical clock.
The story says his interaction with it only felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but when you're dealing with energy that can rewrite your cells, normal time just doesn't apply.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What truly happened in those perceived 5 minutes?
We have to look at it not as some miracle, but as an application of rules. The story makes it clear that your intention is everything.
The journey itself feels like something out of a movie. He goes deep into a remote part of India, to this small, isolated town.
And the final spot isn't some bustling temple.
No, not at all. It's this solitary, ancient cell, a niche, way up on a steep hill. It's clearly not for casual visitors, a place of very focused power.
And the scene inside is, well, it's unsettling. He kneels before a figure, a monk, who's described as being completely motionless, almost mummified.
And the source says this body is being sustained by external forces?
Forces that are feeding on the devotional energy of the worshipers.
So it's not some unconditional source of good. It sounds more like a transaction.
A very, very literal transaction, as it turns out.
And so he's there, and he makes his request perfectly clear. He actually says it out loud. He wants to regain his youth so he can share his knowledge before his body fails.
He's basically inputting the program.
And this is where time just breaks. He thinks he's there for 5, maybe 10 minutes.
But the locals see him leaving the hill more than 24 hours later.
Yeah.
A full day is just gone for him.
And he leaves feeling confused, disappointed. He gets no sign, no confirmation, just this unclear feeling.
That unclear feeling was the transformation kicking off. He thought he failed.
But the mechanism was already locked in. Here's where it gets really interesting. He leaves the temple and everything goes hazy.
This next part lasts for about 1 year and 2 months. The source calls it a deep fog, or a haze.
A state of almost total disconnection, right?
Exactly. His body was essentially on autopilot. The conscious mind was out of the way, which allowed the cellular reversal to happen at an incredible speed.
So he was basically in an energetic quarantine. Was he completely unconscious the whole time?
Not completely. The source says he was mostly sleeping, but he was still performing automatic functions, eating, drinking, just enough to survive.
But without any awareness. He couldn't taste food, couldn't register his own actions.
Right. It was necessary. That profound physical rest was what allowed the process to take months instead of, decades. If he'd been living a normal life, it would have been impossibly slow, or maybe even fatal.
The disconnection was key for the energy to work efficiently.
And then, just as suddenly, he comes to. He finds himself sitting on a bench.
Having gone from a 54-year-old man to a 13-year-old boy.
But, and this is the astonishing part, he retains everything. Every memory, all of his knowledge from 54 years of life, a huge library of wisdom, now housed in the body of an adolescent.
That immediately creates this massive imbalance, and you have to wonder, why 13? Why that specific age?
The source suggests it wasn't random. The process stopped there because of his underlying internal structure, his personal limits, you could say.
What does that even mean, internal structure? Like a physical peak or a psychological one?
It seems to be a mix of things. It's like the energy found the energetic template of his healthiest self, the last point of perfect physical health before aging really began to set in. And for him, that was 13.
So he gets the ultimate shortcut to youth.
But winks up completely trapped.
The physical goal was achieved, but it led to this brutal reality. What does this all mean? The ultimate freedom of youth came with the ultimate shackles of irrelevance.
Well, the social disaster was immediate and total.
The destruction of his old life was just instantaneous.
You have to start with the most personal loss.
Yeah.
His wife, she of course doesn't recognize this 13-year-old boy who shows up.
No amount of shared memories could bridge that gap. The body is a stranger. His main connection to his past just severed.
And think about that. Is your identity, your mind, or your body? For society and for his wife, the body won. The psychological toll of that rejection must have been, just catastrophic.
It was, and that friction went way beyond his family. The one thing he valued most, his life's mission.
To share his knowledge.
It became useless. Worse than useless, it became a liability. At 54, he spoke with authority. People listened.
But now, when that same wisdom comes from a 13-year-old...
Please dismiss. People think he's a fantasist, a kid making up stories, or just repeating things he read in a book without understanding them.
The authority's gone. He literally lost the social permission slip to share his life's work. Every attempt to connect with his old peers was met with pity, or just polite dismissal.
And then there were the practical problems, the logistical nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. His passport, his ID, everything says he's 56 years old now, after that year in the haze.
But he looks 13. In our world, that's not just a red flag. That's a crisis.
Instantly, you're talking accusations of stolen identity, document fraud, maybe even child exploitation. He couldn't get on a plane, couldn't use a bank account.
His independence, the very thing that defined him as a traveler, just vanished overnight.
And the narrative suggests he tried to explain, but the skepticism was just a brick wall. How do you explain cellular age reversal to a customs agent?
He had the knowledge, but without the physical proof, he was just a very articulate, very troubled kid.
The despair must have been immense, and it led to this final loss of independence. To keep traveling, the one thing he had left, he had to hire a random man to pose as his father.
That's the most tragic part. This man who circled the globe on his own now needs a stranger to vouch for him, to give him permission to move.
He got the body of a teenager, but with all the legal restrictions of a child. He traded the freedom of an aging expert for the prison of a dependent kid.
So let's go back to the mechanism. That cell in the hill was focused purely on physical rejuvenation.
Exactly. It's a powerful tool, but it's not a genie in a bottle. It only worked so radically on him because he came with such a clear, specific program. Make me young again.
His focus was entirely on the body's failure.
And the energy acted precisely on that one thing. It didn't care about the social context, the legal problems, the existential crisis it would create.
And you can see that when you compare his experience to the locals.
Right. The locals who visited the niche, they asked for simple things. Rain for their crops, health for their cows.
So they also benefited from the energy, right? They appeared younger, stronger.
Yes, but they never regressed to childhood. Their intentions were, mundane, so the results were gradual and appropriate. He aimed a laser beam of intention and he got a laser-focused result, a purely physical one.
But here's the final, cruel twist in the bargain. The energy reversed his age, but it didn't extend his lifespan.
That's right. The underlying clock, the actual duration of his existence, was unchanged. He got the young body, but his time was still running out at the original rate.
He died in his sleep from heart failure, still looking like a 13-year-old boy. The rejuvenation was just a modification, a tragic, short-lived one.
He essentially compressed decades of misery and irrelevance into just a few years.
But the story doesn't quite end there with his physical death.
No. We're told he's now in an ethereal, non-physical body. The knowledge that was trapped is now free of any form.
And he's still searching. His quest continues.
The logic is kind of compelling, isn't it? He thinks if he found the energy to reverse age, he can find the energy to return to a physical body.
But this time you'd hope, with the wisdom of hindsight.
The whole story is this huge lesson about focused energy. It's powerful, but it's so brutally narrow. He got exactly what he asked for, rejuvenation, but he never considered the consequences.
We focused on the physical form, and only the physical form was fixed. He ignored everything else that makes a life worth living.
It just shows how the outcome is tied to the specificity of your intention. The energy affects what you focus on, not what you actually need.
It's the ultimate cautionary tale about looking for a shortcut, isn't it? He wanted more time, but he focused on youth, and he ended up trading a meaningful life for a few years of misery.
Indeed. The energy is blind to context. We are not. Our focus dictates not just the success, but also the disaster.
So if we consider that this intense energy only fulfilled the physical request and ignored everything else, what other unexpected consequences might be hidden when we seek radical change, even with the best intentions? The difference between a specific wish and what's truly required for a good life might be the most important variable there is. Something for you to ponder.
Until next time.